The night I found him bleeding in the alley, I didn't know I'd never be alone again. I was the last one to leave the cafe, like always. The rain had started half an hour earlier, light at first, then the kind of persistent drizzle that soaked into your bones. I tugged the zipper of my beige coat all the way up and popped open my umbrella. The warm scent of roasted beans still clung to my clothes, the only comfort as I stepped into the quiet alley behind the shop. Just another Tuesday. Or so I thought. I walked past the trash bins, mind focused on my warm bed and the socks I left on the heater. That's when I heard it. A low, ragged groan. I froze. The kind of sound that cuts through logic. Animal, almost. Wounded. It came again, and this time I felt it. Like it curled through the back of my neck and pulled. I turned slowly toward the sound. There, crumpled behind a stack of wooden crates, was a man. Or what looked like a man. Blood stained the concrete around him, smeared and fresh, steaming against the cold. His shirt was shredded down the middle, deep gashes clawed across his abdomen. One of his arms was bent wrong. And yet, he turned his head when I approached. His eyes locked on mine. They glowed. Not from a trick of the light, not from pain or drugs, or some imagined effect of stress. They glowed golden, steady, burning with something primal. I stumbled backward, almost slipping. "Don't," he rasped, and reached out. His hand was slick with blood, fingers trembling. "Don't run." My mind screamed run, but my feet didn't. I'll call someone. A hospital. An ambulance. No. His voice broke. He reached further, and something in his gaze pinned me. "Just stay." I knelt. Every cell in my body told me this was a mistake, but there was something under his skin. Something ancient, broken, and beautiful. He grasped my wrist. Suddenly, heat surged through my arm, like a current, a brand being burned beneath my skin. I gasped, and he whispered something. Low, breathy, not English. Not anything I recognized. His eyes flared brighter. Then his mouth moved to my neck. I didn't feel pain, just searing warmth. Then, light, white hot, searing behind my eyes, through my spine, into my chest. And then, nothing. I woke up lying beside the cafe dumpster, my umbrella snapped in two, my heart hammering like I'd run a mile. The alley was empty. No man, no blood, no glowing eyes. Just cold rain, and the distant thrum of late-night traffic. I sat up slowly. My clothes were damp but not torn. My phone was still in my pocket. My neck burned. I pulled out my compact mirror, hands trembling. Nothing. No bite. No mark. Except the tiniest bruise where his fingers had gripped my wrist. The rest of me? Whole. Alive. It was probably a hallucination, a nightmare. I'd worked too many double shifts, hadn't eaten all day. Maybe someone had been there, and stumbled off. Maybe I'd imagined the eyes, the voice, just stay. No. That voice had been real. That heat had been real. But when I went back the next morning, in full daylight, the alley was clean. No blood. No sign of a struggle. No crates. Not even a smear. Just concrete. Rain-washed and indifferent. Like none of it ever happened. The next day at the cafe started like any other. I poured espresso shots, wiped counters, smiled at regulars I couldn't name. But something was off. A pressure behind my eyes, dull and rhythmic, like a headache trying to hatch. It wasn't pain exactly, more like static. And the smell. Burnt pine. Salt. Rain on fur. Every time I inhaled, it hit me again. Familiar in a way that shouldn't have been. Like memory clinging to my skin. I blamed it on the alley. On the hallucination I was still trying to rationalize. But when the bell over the cafe door chimed and he walked in, I forgot how to breathe. He didn't look at me at first. He just stepped in, tall, broad-shouldered, in a dark wool coat still glistening from the rain. His hair was tousled like he hadn't slept, and the way he moved was quiet, contained. Dangerous. Then his eyes met mine. Golden. Same as that night. I gripped the edge of the counter to steady myself. He walked to the far corner, sat down, and watched me. Didn't order anything. Didn't blink. Just watched. My throat went dry. The pressure behind my eyes flared hotter. I forced my hands to move. Made a latte. Burned the milk. My coworker Margot raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" "No," I whispered. Then louder. "Yeah, I'm fine." But I wasn't. Not when I could feel him now. His presence curled around the back of my neck like heat, or hunger. A hum just beneath my skin, tugging, pulling, claiming. I walked to his table with the drink I never saw him order. He didn't touch it. "You shouldn't be alive," he said softly. I froze. His gaze didn't waver. The bond shouldn't have held. "Not with you." My stomach turned. "I don't know what you think happened." "Don't lie," he said. "You feel it. The way I do." And just like that, my body betrayed me. Because I did feel it. The ache in my ribs. The weird hum. The dream I had last night where I was running barefoot through trees, and the moon felt close. His voice dropped. "We need to talk." "Somewhere private?" No. I don't know you." He stood. I stepped back, heart pounding. But he didn't touch me. Didn't threaten. Just waited. "Please," he said, softer now. "I won't hurt you." And something in me believed him. I nodded once, led him toward the back, past the kitchen, into the storage room where we kept paper cups and old holiday syrup. He closed the door. The air inside shifted. "I'm not crazy," I said immediately. I saw you bleeding, you were dying. Then you touched me and I marked you." The words hit like a slap. I didn't mean to. I thought I was dying. My instincts took over. "Marked me?" I repeated. "What does that mean? Like a curse?" He shook his head. "It's not a curse. It's a bond. A wolf's last act before death. I should have died. I didn't. And now." He looked at me. "Now what?" He didn't finish the sentence. "Who are you?" I asked, the question shaking in my throat. He hesitated. "My name is Theo. I'm an alpha." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Like, pack leader? Wolf pack? That kind of alpha?" His face didn't change. That's when I realized he wasn't joking. "You're insane." "No," he said. "But this wasn't supposed to happen. You're human. The bond shouldn't have worked. But it did." I stepped back. "You're serious?" His voice was quiet. "Yes." "You're telling me I'm what? Some kind of werewolf bride?" "It's deeper than that," he said. "This kind of bond is ancient, rare, powerful, and completely unwanted." My voice cracked. "I don't want any of this." "You think I do?" His control slipped for a second. "You think I chose you? I don't even know what you are. But now..." He caught himself, jaw tight. "Now I can feel everything." I swallowed. "What do you mean?" "When you woke up this morning, when you burned your hand on the milk steamer, when you laughed at that guy in the red beanie. I felt it all. I felt you." My blood turned cold. "What's happening to me?" I whispered. He looked at me like I was a puzzle that shouldn't exist. "I don't know." I didn't need to look at him to know how he felt. I could feel him, like a storm building under my skin. The first sign was the headache. Not sharp, just heavy. Like pressure behind my ribs, rolling deeper every time I tried to ignore it. I was restocking the pastry case when it hit again. An overwhelming wave of tension that wasn't mine. Not fear, not hunger, just restlessness and anger. Low, simmering heat in my chest. I glanced at the door. Theo wasn't there, at least not physically, but I knew it was him. It was happening again. And this time, it wasn't just a headache or scent. It was emotion. Raw. Unfiltered. His. That evening, I walked home through dusky streets, my breath fogging in the crisp air. The autumn wind tugged at the hem of my coat, but I barely noticed. Because with every step, I could feel him. Like a thread stretched taut between us. Sometimes his emotions came in flashes. Like static jolts. Other times, it felt like I was wearing his mood like a second skin. It was when I reached my apartment and laughed, really laughed, at a dumb text from Jonah, my coworker, that it changed. A spike of something stabbed through my spine. Hot. Possessive. Jealousy. I froze on the stairs. And suddenly, I knew he'd felt it. I turned around, scanning the empty street below. Nothing. No figure in the shadows. No sound. But he'd felt it. That terrified me more than anything. My apartment was quiet. Warm light, faint scent of cinnamon tea. Minimalist, clean, books on the windowsill. Throw blankets folded just right. But I couldn't relax. I paced. Called no one. Lit a candle. Blew it out. When the knock came on my door, I didn't ask who it was. I already knew. I opened it. Theo stood there, hands clenched at his sides, jaw locked. His coat hung open, and for once he looked less composed. Less alpha. More unsettled. "You need to stop feeling things around other people," he said. I stared at him. "Excuse me?" He stepped inside without asking. My pulse jumped. "I felt you laughing," he said tightly. "At him." "At Jonah?" I snapped. "He sent me a meme, not a love letter." "That doesn't matter," he growled, voice low. I felt it. The pull. "You were open. Unguarded." "Oh, I'm sorry for having a human moment in my human life," I shot back, slamming the door. "Do you realize how insane this is?" "Yes." His voice softened. "I do." I backed away. "Then fix it." "Break the bond." He didn't answer. I looked at him hard. "Can you?" Silence. He turned, running a hand through his hair. "The bond isn't something I can just undo. It's not a trick, not a spell, it's blood." "Blood?" I whispered. Theo nodded, not meeting my eyes. "You were supposed to be human. The mark only takes when there's a genetic link. To the wild, to the wolf." I felt my breath catch. "So it shouldn't have worked." "No," he said quietly. "But it did." "Why?" He hesitated. My voice broke. "Why, Theo?" His gaze finally met mine. And this time, there was fear in it. Not anger. Not arrogance. Just a kind of haunted uncertainty. "Because your blood responded," he said. "Something in you recognized me." I blinked. "What does that mean?" "I don't know. Maybe you have dormant bloodlines. Maybe something skipped generations. But the bond shouldn't have taken. Unless..." He trailed off. "Unless I'm not fully human," I said. Neither of us said it aloud. But it was there. Between us. Heavy and strange and terrifying. I wrapped my arms around myself. "So, what now?" He stepped closer, carefully. "Now. We figure out what you are. What this means." "No." I shook my head. "No, I want this gone. I want you gone." His voice cracked. The control fraying. "It doesn't work that way. I didn't ask for this, Theo. I didn't choose it. Neither did I." We stood in silence for a long moment. His presence filled the room, magnetic and suffocating all at once. Finally, he turned toward the door. "Get some rest." He paused in the frame, his voice lower now. "Try not to think about anyone else tonight." And then he was gone. And I hated that I could still feel him on the other side of the city. The car stopped in front of what looked like a glass sculpture carved into the forest. It was sleek, angular. Reflective panels rising like jagged crystal from moss-covered stone. If I didn't know better, I'd have thought I was being taken to a tech startup or an eco-luxury retreat. But this was the headquarters of the pack, or as Theo called it, neutral ground. The driver, a man with eyes too sharp to be human, opened the door and motioned for me to follow the path into the trees. I did. Each step crunched over pine needles and frost. I shouldn't have come. I knew it. But Theo had asked. "There's someone you need to meet," he'd said. I didn't expect her to be waiting for me in a rooftop restaurant that looked like it had been torn from the pages of an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the forest, and every surface glowed with warm light and quiet danger. But none of it compared to the woman standing by the window. She turned slowly, her platinum blonde hair shining like a blade under golden light. Her lips were blood red, perfectly curved, like she never had to raise her voice to command a room. She wore tailored white, wide-legged pants, a silk blouse, a coat that moved like it belonged on a runway. Ice. Ah, she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. The girl. I stopped 3 feet from her. You must be Lana. And you must be... The accident. Her voice was velvet over razors. I didn't speak. She moved to the table and gestured for me to sit. I stayed standing. Lana sighed like I was already exhausting her. You're not from this world. You don't understand how things work. Then maybe you should explain it, I said tightly. That smile again. I don't have to. You already feel it, don't you? The pressure, the instincts, the way your skin doesn't quite feel like it's your own anymore. I swallowed hard. She walked slowly around the table, her heels soft against the wood. I'm not here to insult you, Iris. Truly, this isn't personal. You're just... in the way. In the way of what? She tilted her head. Of something very old. Very important. Theo and I, we're the last 2 lines of the founding blood. We were promised to each other before we could even shift. His leadership depends on that alliance. I felt the flicker of heat in my chest. The bond. Theo, somewhere nearby. He marked me, I said quietly. And that's unfortunate, Lana replied. But not permanent. She reached into her coat pocket and slid a black envelope onto the table. I stared at it. This is for you, she said. Enough to disappear, new identity, new city, fresh start. You walk away and you get your life back. Simple. I didn't move. You think he loves you? She asked, voice now low, sharp. It's not love, it's the bond. It will fade. And when it does, what will you be? Just a mistake he regrets. Her words hit hard. And for a second, just a second, I wondered if she was right. But then, I felt it. That familiar warmth at the base of my neck. Like a tether pulling me upward. He was close, watching. I looked her straight in the eyes. I'm not taking your money. Lana's smile dropped. I didn't ask for this, I continued. But I'm not running from it either. You're playing a game you don't understand, she snapped. And people like you. Humans don't last in our world. Then we'll see how long I last. A shadow moved behind me. I turned. Theo stepped into the room. He wasn't wearing his usual suit. Just dark jeans and a sweater that clung to his frame like second skin. His eyes locked on Lana, then shifted to me. You found her, he said, voice unreadable. She found herself, Lana said coolly. Theo came to my side. Close. Closer than he needed to be. He didn't touch me, but he looked at me like I was gravity itself. She stays, he said to Lana. Lana's eyes narrowed. You'd risk the council for this? I'd risk worse, he said calmly. Then added, without breaking eye contact, she's mine. The bond flared in my chest like fire catching on dry leaves. Lana exhaled through her nose. Cold. Controlled. Then I hope she's worth what it'll cost. She turned and walked away, heels tapping like a countdown. Theo stayed silent. And I realized. I wasn't afraid, not anymore. The scent of barley tea hit me the moment I stepped inside. My childhood home hadn't changed. Not the paper lamps in the hallway. Not the bamboo mats that creaked under my feet. Not even the faded photo of my parents on their wedding day. My mother in pale pink hanbok, my father beside her, too tall for the frame, smiling like he still believed in the future. I didn't. Not anymore. I dropped my bag on the bench near the door and kicked off my shoes. The warmth inside made me realize how cold I'd been all day. Outside and inside. Then I heard the kettle click. She was already here. My mother stood at the counter, pouring water into a white ceramic teapot, her movements calm and precise, as if this were just another visit, as if nothing had changed. But it had. Everything had. You came without calling, I said, my voice flat. I needed to see you. She didn't turn around. That serious? Now she looked up. Her face had always been hard to read. Delicate features, high cheekbones, lips that rarely smiled. But I saw it now. Fear. Sit, Iris, she said softly. I didn't. She placed the tea on the low table and folded herself onto the cushion like she had 100 times before. Knees tucked, back straight, like tradition could protect us from the truth. I saw him, she said. I saw the mark on you. I froze. What do you know about it? More silence. Mom, I said, sharper now. Don't stall me. I want the truth. Her lips trembled. Your father wasn't the man you thought he was. I felt something unravel. He was an Omega, she continued. From a pack far from here. A drifter. Exiled. What are you talking about? I laughed, short, bitter. He was a carpenter. Yes. And a wolf. I sat down slowly, like my knees had forgotten how to hold me. You're lying. I'm protecting you. No, I snapped. You've been lying to me. My whole life. She didn't flinch. He hid it well. After the exile he took suppressants, lived as a man. I never thought, I didn't think it would pass to you, but you were always different. I stared at her, heart pounding. So I'm not human. You are, she said quickly. You're more human than most wolves I've met. But yes, there's blood in you, dormant. Until now, I felt like the floor dropped beneath me. It's why the bond took, she added. Why his mark didn't kill you. It recognized you. The truth was a blade to the gut. All those nights I'd felt the pull, the instincts, the dreams. The heat in my bones. They weren't mistakes. They were mine. I deserve to know who I am, I said, my voice shaking. I was trying to keep you safe, she whispered. If the pack finds out, if their council knows, they'll what? Hunt me? She didn't answer. I stood, shaking. You had years to tell me, years to let me choose how to live. But you let me walk blind into this. You wouldn't have understood. I understand better than you think, I hissed. My hands were trembling now. Not from fear. From betrayal. She stood, reaching for me. Iris, please. Don't. Her hand dropped. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Two strangers in the house we used to call home. Then I turned to the door. Where are you going? She asked. To figure out who I really am, I said without looking back. The forest felt older here, not just because of the twisted roots and ancient trees, but because the air itself carried weight, like breath held for too long. The moss underfoot muffled every step. Mist curled low around the trunks, thick enough to hide things if you stared too long. We were deep inside the sacred grounds now. Theo walked beside me, silent. His jaw was clenched, but not in anger. In restraint. I could feel it through the bond, the tight wire of his tension. His fear, not for himself. For me. We stopped at the edge of the clearing. It wasn't large, just a wide stone circle, carved into the forest floor and ringed with upright stones half swallowed by moss. Nature had reclaimed the space in parts, but the energy that pulsed from it was undeniable. This was the heart of the pack. The old heart, and standing around the edge were 5 figures, cloaked in gray, hoods pulled back, each of them marked by age and something else beneath the skin. Not human. Not even close. One of them, a tall man with silver eyes and skin like bark, stepped forward. You brought her, he said, voice like shifting gravel. Theo bowed his head. She came by choice. Barely true, but I said nothing. The elder's eyes found me. You are Iris Choi, he said, daughter of a traitor wolf and a human woman. You bear a mark that was not meant for you. You are a disruption to the balance. I didn't flinch. I didn't ask to be marked. And yet you are... He stepped closer. Theo's claim on you jeopardizes our alliance with the Solari. His leadership is being questioned. Your presence here is a threat to peace. At that, I felt it. Theo's shoulders tightening beside me. Guilt. Pressure. Shame. The other elders murmured. One of them, a woman with white braids and eyes the color of ice, raised her hand. We have 2 options, she said. The bond is broken, and the balance is restored. Or... She turned to Theo. You step down. Theo's breath hitched. Not from surprise, but from inevitability. They'd already made their choice. I looked at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. This wasn't about love. It was about power, about a world I didn't ask to join. But I was here now, and I wasn't going to let them decide my fate. What if there's a third option? I said. Every head turned toward me. The silver-eyed elder frowned. Speak. Let me prove myself. A pause. You are not of the blood. Then test me, I said. Test what I am. If I pass, I stay. If I fail, you'll never see me again. The elders murmured again, this time louder. Disapproval. Curiosity. Debate. Theo finally looked at me. His eyes wide, lips parting. He hadn't expected it. I didn't either. But for the first time since this all began, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. The elder woman stepped forward. There is precedent, she said slowly. Trial by instinct. Another nodded. Let the bond guide her. Let the wolf judge. Theo stepped forward then. No. You don't understand what that means. It's dangerous. I'm right here, I snapped. Stop talking like I'm not. He looked at me again, and this time, really saw me. Iris, I'm doing this, I said quietly. He didn't stop me. Because he knew. He couldn't protect me from this. The silver-eyed elder raised both hands. So be it, he said. At moonrise tomorrow, she will face the trial. If she survives, she will be recognized. And if I don't? I asked. Then the bond will die with you. The forest closed behind us as we walked back in silence. Theo didn't speak until we were almost to the edge of the grounds. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. His voice was hoarse. You don't know what they're going to make you face. No, I said, stopping to look at him. But I know who I am now. And I'm tired of running from it. He stared at me. I won't let anything happen to you, he said. You might not have a choice. And neither did I. But this time, I wasn't afraid of it. The training ground looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Twisted vines clung to what once were walls. Rusted metal bars bent under their own weight. Stone columns, half collapsed, formed crooked arches over moss-covered floors. Wind whispered through broken rafters, carrying with it the cold breath of the mountains. Theo stood a few feet away, watching me stretch beside a worn sparring circle carved into the earth. His eyes tracked every movement. Not judgmental, just alert, hyper-aware. I'm not a soldier, I muttered, rolling my shoulders. I'm a barista with mild anxiety and a terrible diet. You're a wolf, he said softly. Whether you accept it or not. I turned toward him. But I haven't shifted. I don't even know how. You don't need to shift to feel it. Let your instincts lead. That's what the trial will demand. You have to let go of the human rules that keep you safe. I hated that he was right. And worse, I could already feel it. My body moved easier here. My feet knew how to grip the uneven ground. My breaths came faster, sharper. It was like something dormant had started to listen. We sparred for hours. Theo didn't go easy on me. He didn't coddle. But he didn't push me to break either. He moved like water, fluid, deadly, restrained. And I moved like someone waking up in their own skin for the first time. That night, I dreamed of trees, tall ones, towering, bone-white and silver, their branches slicing through moonlight like blades. I was running, fast, low to the ground. Muscles coiled, breath loud in my chest. Not as a girl. Not even as a woman. As a wolf. I could smell the earth, feel the rhythm of the hunt in my bones. My paws tore through leaves. My heart thundered like a drum in my throat. When I woke, I could still feel the dirt under my claws. The next day was colder. I trained alone while Theo met with the elders. The base was quiet, eerie. Mist rolled over the stone platforms like a ghost. Something about the silence didn't sit right. Then I heard it. A snap of a branch behind me. I turned. Nothing. Then, a blur of gray. Something slammed into me from behind, throwing me to the ground. A massive wolf, black eyes, jagged scars down its side, snarled over me, teeth bared, breath rank with blood and ash. I screamed and rolled, barely dodging its jaws. It lunged again, claws catching my arm. Pain shot through me, hot and deep. Then another sound, not a wolf's growl, a roar. Theo. He was already shifting mid-leap, bones cracking, limbs lengthening, fur exploding across his skin. It was violent, visceral, breathtaking. One moment, he was a man. The next, a wolf bigger than the one attacking me. Silver gray, eyes gold bright, power radiating from every tense line of his body. He slammed into the other wolf, snarling, biting. They crashed into the stone wall, claws tearing, teeth snapping. I crawled backward, shaking, blood dripping from my arm. And then, the black-eyed wolf yelped and bolted into the trees, vanishing like smoke. Theo didn't chase him. He turned to me. And shifted back. It wasn't graceful. It was messy. Bones reforming, skin twisting, blood drying on his shoulders. But his eyes, were still golden. He ran to me and knelt beside me. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice rough, low. I nodded shakily. "I think so. Just scratched." His hand hovered above my wound, unsure if he should touch me. It was staged. "Someone sent him." "Lana," I whispered. His jaw tightened. "Yes." He looked like he wanted to rip her throat out. But then his gaze softened, and he touched my cheek with a reverence I hadn't expected. "I could feel you before I saw you," he said. I knew something was wrong. "Because of the bond?" He hesitated, then shook his head. "Because of you. Because I can't not feel you. I can't breathe without you anymore, Iris." I stared at him, heart pounding. "You don't have to say that." "I'm not saying it for you," he said. "I'm saying it because I need you to know it." I didn't realize how close we were until his breath brushed my lips. And then we kissed. Not tentative, not questioning. Like fire meeting oxygen, his hand slid into my hair, anchoring me. My fingers dug into his shirt. The bond pulsed between us, strong, hot, electric. And I knew, no matter what happened next, this wasn't a mistake. The arena was silent, not the kind of silence that came from absence, but the kind born from watching, from judgment, from expectation. Dozens stood at the edge of the wide circle carved into the forest floor. Pack members, elders, warriors, curious onlookers. Even those who didn't believe in tradition had come for this. Moonlight spilled across the ring, painting everything silver. The stone beneath my feet was cool and slightly damp. I stood alone in the center, waiting. The trial would begin any moment now, and I had no idea what they were about to throw at me. I glanced toward the outer ring. Theo stood there, flanked by two elders. His eyes never left mine. I felt his tension humming through the bond, tight, sharp, helpless. But I wasn't helpless. Not tonight. Not anymore. An elder stepped forward from the shadows. The one with silver eyes who had first called me a disruption. He raised one hand. "Begin?" From the far edge of the circle, a gate creaked open. And something stepped out. It was a wolf, but barely. Massive, wild-eyed. Muscles straining against matted fur. Foam at its mouth. Blood on its paws. Its gaze locked on me instantly. And I knew it had been drugged. Pushed past control. It wasn't here to test me. It was here to break me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I didn't flinch. The wolf growled. Low, deep. Then it charged. My heart hammered. Every instinct screamed run. But I didn't move. I closed my eyes, just for a second, and reached inward. To the part of me that had been waking slowly over the past days. The wolf in me. The pulse of something older than fear. I stepped forward. The wolf lunged. And instead of dodging, I opened my arms. The crowd shouted. Someone screamed. Theo surged forward. But an elder held him back. The wolf collided with me. But I didn't fight. I held, my arms wrapped around its neck. Not in a chokehold, but in something gentler, fiercer. My forehead pressed to its fur. My body trembled from the impact, but I didn't let go. I see you, I whispered. It writhed, snarled, tried to shake me off. I held. You're not a monster, you're just lost. And then, something changed. The wolf stilled, breathing hard, heart pounding beneath my hands. Slowly, its eyes shifted. From blind rage to recognition. I pulled back just enough to look it in the eyes. And it bowed, dropped to its knees before me, pressed its head against my stomach like a child needing comfort. I stepped back, guiding it gently to the earth. It didn't resist. Silence. The whole arena seemed to exhale at once. I turned toward the elders, my breath heavy, my hands still shaking. But my voice? Steady. Is that enough? No one spoke. Then, the silver-eyed elder stepped forward, his expression unreadable. She is not a mistake, he said, voice carrying across the clearing. He looked to the others. She is the future. The other elders slowly nodded. A ripple of murmurs followed. Some in agreement, some in disbelief. But no one challenged it. Theo stepped into the ring. He didn't run to me, didn't grab or kiss me. He simply stood by my side, as if I were already one of them. I met his gaze, and for the first time since this began, I felt like I belonged. The council chamber looked different now, not because the stone walls had changed, or the high windows letting in soft morning light, but because I wasn't entering as an outsider anymore. This time, I walked through the doors with him. Theo didn't lead me. He walked beside me. And no one stopped us. The elders stood in a half circle at the far end, their expressions unreadable. I could still feel the bond pulsing quietly between me and Theo. Not loud, not overwhelming. Just there, steady, grounded, like breathing. I wasn't sure you'd come, one of the elders said. The woman with the white braids. I almost didn't, I answered honestly. I turned to Theo, who looked down at me, not with possession but with pride. But I needed to say this where everyone could hear it. The room fell quiet. I didn't fight for a title, I didn't survive to take a place in your hierarchy, and I didn't stay to become someone's symbol of power. I looked back at Theo. I chose him. Not because of a bond, not because of fate, but because when the world tried to shape me into what I wasn't, he saw who I really was. Theo reached into his coat and held something out. A ring. But not a traditional one. Forged from dark metal, the shape curved like a fang. Simple, fierce, unmistakable. A symbol of the alpha line. I took it. Breath catching. I don't want to be your Luna, I said softly. I want to be your equal. You always have been, he replied. I slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. Later that afternoon, I stood behind the counter of my café again. The air smelled like cinnamon and espresso. The new logo gleamed on the glass, a small sleeping wolf curled inside a coffee cup. Customers had started noticing it. Some thought it was quirky. Others, those with sharper instincts, just smiled knowingly. Theo sat at the corner table, flipping through the local paper like a regular. He was a regular now. My world hadn't gone back to normal. It had expanded. I was still learning how to live with instincts. Still dreaming in fur and moonlight. Still learning how to balance who I had been with who I was now. But for the first time, it didn't feel like a war. She came just before closing. My mother. She stood by the door, holding a small bag of persimmons, her eyes tired but soft. I didn't speak. Neither did she. Until she stepped forward and placed the fruit on the counter. I should have told you the truth, she said. I was afraid of what it would make you. I nodded. It didn't make me anything, it just helped me find what was already there. Her voice shook. I'm sorry. I looked at her for a long moment. Then stepped out from behind the counter and hugged her. It wasn't dramatic. Just needed. I forgive you, I whispered. But don't lie to me again. She nodded against my shoulder. I won't. That evening the council called me back one last time. I stood at the entrance to their stone hall, the forest behind me, the wind catching my hair. Theo stood beside me. The elders waited inside. And when I crossed the threshold, every single one of them, including the silver-eyed one who had once called me a mistake, bowed their heads. Not because I was a wolf, not because I was marked, but because I had earned it. I looked up at the moonlight spilling through the ceiling. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel like someone's possession, or their mistake. I felt free.